Pandemi Covid-19 membuka mata kita akan pentingnya lingkungan yang baik untuk kehidupan berkelanjutan. Di era new normal seperti saat ini, target Sustainable Development Goals atau SDGs hingga tahun 2030 tentunya tetap harus menjadi perhatian utama para pelaku industri. Salah satu perusahaan yang senantiasa berkomitmen menjalankan seluruh kegiatannya dengan prinsip SDGs adalah APRIL Group. Secara eksklusif, Anderson Tanoto, Direktur RGE Group, holding company dari APRIL Group, akan membeberkan kinerja, strategi, dan juga komitmen perusahaannya untuk tetap tumbuh selaras menjalankan bisnisnya bersamaan dengan pembangunan yang berkelanjutan atau SDGs 2030. Bersama saya Pangeran Punce, inilah Iconomics. So, Anderson Tanoto, thank you so much for joining
Good morning.
Iconomics CNBC Indonesia.
And welcome to Kerinci.
All right, thank you so much. So, can you explain to me more about what are we doing right now?
Well, first and foremost, welcome. Welcome to Kerinci and welcome to Kerinci Tissue Culture Lab.
Okay.
This is one of our central tissue culture labs. This is the largest in the world. We produce about 45 million plantlets, little plants of eucalyptus. They're effectively genetically very similar. And when we plant silviculture on the plantation, we want to make sure the trees are actually homogeneous and very healthy. So this tissue culture gives us the ability to replicate and propagate our plants in a very rapid manner.
Okay, so first of all, I have to ask you about what we are experiencing right now in the world.
Yes.
You know, COVID-19, the pandemic. How does the pandemic affect your business in general?
The pandemic has been very challenging globally, not only for our business, but all the countries that we export to. Pandemic starting in January and February, actually in our biggest market in China. First quarter, China was devastated in terms of its economy. It was shut down. But we see inklings of recovery, second and third quarter, and I'm thankful that I just actually made a business trip to China a few weeks ago, and it's incredible what they've done. It's a V-shaped recovery. The economy is reopening, our manufacturing plants are fully open, and then most importantly, demand.
Yeah.
Because the pandemic is not only a supply side crisis, but it is also a demand side crisis. We see that in other parts of our export market. India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Southeast Asia. These markets are still heavily impacted. However, we're very thankful that our demand for our products are basic products. These are simple things like pulp for tissue, for paperboard for packaging, for hygiene products, for printing writing for paper. Hence, even though our product price have dropped, the demand is still there. Even though our revenue has dropped, our volume for our product sold is the same. So in that case, at least our margins are still positive. So in relative terms, I think we're very thankful amongst other industries. But of course, it's a very challenging last 9 months.
Okay, you mentioned challenging. We are going to have the recession, not only in Indonesia, right, but also globally. How
Yes.
do you see this recession can impact again to your demand side?
There is no question that every country in the world will face recession this year because economies have been shut for the last 6 months. So I always say recession is not always on the absolute terms but relative terms. So demand has dropped globally. What I see actually is countries that position themselves well for the recovery. And I think Indonesia has done this very well. Despite the fact that we've taken some very strong measures in the initial stage with PSBB, we can see that they've let critical economic production houses continue to operate. We're very thankful. Kerinci is one of the complex that was able to operate throughout this challenging period with very strict protocols. And we've been fortunate to actually invest in a PCR machine ourselves, and we're testing more than 100 PCR test kits every single day. And this allows us to gain the confidence not only of our employees, but most importantly also our stakeholders around us that we operate in.
Okay, how do you maintain the productivity? Because as you said, demand is slightly maybe down, but the volume is still there. So how do you maintain the productivity with this new normal life?
So I think I call it the two levels of productivity. I think the first level of productivity is in the office. Office especially, we're talking about in Jakarta, in Singapore, in head offices. Clearly, COVID has not allowed us to have full workforce. So 30% of the people are in the office. The other 70% are actually working from home. This actually tests the management's capability for decentralization of leadership. I think companies who are used to centralized leadership, when one person make a decision and 25 people, 100 people have to follow, work from home has been very challenging because you're not able to have that interaction and that push. But actually decentralized leadership has made work from home much more effective and efficient. For example,
Surprisingly, right?
it is. You form clusters of teams to tackle on issues. So you have small little teams, one person leading 3 or 4 people team. So in this way, I think work from home, work from office, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to change overnight. I think in the next 12 months, 24 months, maybe in the next 2 years, I think work from home partially will be the new normal and it will be the strategy moving ahead. Then there's the second level of productivity, which is effectively field workforce productivity, or people who has to physically go to work to get the stuff done. And that is, for example, our operations and factory. For us, we're really moving a lot more to automation. Today in Tissue Culture Lab, it's quite labor intensive. But if you look at our pulp factory and paper factory, or later in the viscose rayon factory that President Jokowi visited this year, it's pretty much automated. 90% of the things are actually done by machines. And moving ahead in the future, again, labor productivity is very important with strong automation. Because what we don't want people to only be doing things. We want people to be managing machines to be doing things.
Okay, let's talk about one of the member of RGE's group is APRIL. Is very well known with its sustainability, right? How important is sustainability for business in general first?
So I came back to the business 2013, over 7 years ago. And sustainability has not only been a true passion of mine, but APRIL has given me the platform to express that passion. I fundamentally believe that our business is one of the most sustainable business in terms of its design, because we start from planting trees.
Okay.
Every day we plant over 1 million trees.
1 million trees.
1 million trees
every day.
Every day. We plant about 300 million trees a year. And these trees, we plant them in the soil. It grows. Eucalyptus acacia trees grows. And actually the raw material of trees is actually carbon dioxide, water, and it releases oxygen. And if you actually break down the wood, it's actually carbon molecules trapped in the wood. So fundamentally, our raw material is renewable. It's not from fossil fuel, it's not from the soil, it's not extractive, but it's actually a renewable material. So by design, our business has a renewable resource. That's first. Second, then how do you go about using land sustainably? And this is the biggest challenge that we all have because we have large land use space. And what we've done, at least in the last 5 years, is to really champion, if you produce from a landscape, if you plant trees and have plantation in one area, please have the responsibility to also protect the conservation.
Okay.
So this is in 2015, 5 years ago, in COP21 in Paris, where Indonesian government was also part of the signatory of the climate agreement.
Okay, I heard that you have this goal, like April 2030, about sustainability. Let's talk about it in the next segment. So where are we going next?
First, let's go to our beautiful nursery. This is indoors. It's going to be a little bit hot outside, but it's going to be fun. Outside, it's going to be actually our mother plant house and our rooting house. It's a very beautiful nursery. Pak Jokowi visited earlier this year. And I can't wait to show you.
Okay, let's go now.
April 2030 is actually a next level ambition for the company. Where do we want to go for sustainability in the next 10 years? And I would even call it sustainability only, but sustainable development.